Hello, families. Welcome back to the American Family Survival Network. I'm your host, Jeffrey Snipes, and welcome back to part 2 of America is on a Slippery Slope, brought to us by ZeroHedge.com. So if China chose to do so, she could bring the West to its knees just by squeezing the market for physical gold. A Western financial collapse would be a disaster for all, but China and Russia, together with their SCO partners, would be the last men standing. So in that sense, the ownership of gold bullion is the ultimate financial weapon. So what does America's deep state do about it? It must accumulate physical gold as a matter of urgency. This is why, if the stories are true, it made sense for the CIA to smuggle out Libya's and Ukraine's gold under cover of the prevailing chaos, and why, far from suppressing the price, the new priority must be for the deep state to accumulate physical gold as rapidly as possible. Currency implications. The gold story rumbles on, but the more visible topic is the growing likelihood of the old Marxian prediction about capitalism destroying itself turning out to be true, at least for the highly corrupted form we call Western capitalism today. By a process of stealth, the economies of Europe and America have actually evolved towards a national socialist model, where the means of production remains in private hands, but the state controls and directs it through regulation. The collapse, if it happens, will have more in common with the failings of socialism than with anything to do with free markets. And with economic collapse, so too goes the purchasing power of fiat currencies. The most obvious currency danger is from the euro, for all the reasons we don't need to go into here. However, Western Europe is seen by China as a trade partner at the end of her Silk Roads, potentially in need of her assistance. She has already bought control of Piraeus, Greece's largest port, which will become one of her Silk Road terminals. The lesson here was rather like a spider with its web. China just waits patiently for opportunities to come her way. When individual EU countries need rescuing from future banking and debt crises, it is reasonable to assume China will be willing to help on her terms, of course. At that point, NATO members such as Italy and Germany will be faced with a choice. Is their future to be a vassal of America, or will it be better to be in a commercial partnership with China and Russia? If the Eurozone disintegrates politically, the accompanying debt crisis is bound to undermine the euro. It seems unlikely that China will seek to support the euro, instead looking to benefit from the opportunities emerging from distress. She can support systematically important banks if it is in her interest to do so, despite the complete destruction of the euro. This surely is already under discussion in Beijing. The question is one of price, which will involve both trade considerations and the use of the yuan. Japan is also at a crossroads, but is both physically and culturally closer to China. For the moment, the issue is not so much about currency, but about the failure of monetary and economic policy while in the American sphere of influence. At the political level, relations with China are volatile, reflecting both history and Japan's alliance with America, but big Japanese corporations, the Zaibatsu, work well with China very well, employing many people in their manufacturing plants and buying other Chinese goods. The tension between Japan's political and commercial objectives is therefore increasing all the time, which leads one to speculate how long it will be before commerce triumphs over politics. When that happens, we can expect Japan to join the AIIB and move away from America's political domination. But we return to America and her deep state. Not only has she made a frightful mess of Syria, opening the way for Russia to dominate the region politically, but she will see her Middle Eastern allies deserting the dollar simply because they have little use for it. Trade having shifted to China and now India. As China develops her parallel international financial markets, surplus dollars outside the U.S. from the Middle East and elsewhere will almost certainly return home in growing quantities. This will obviously put enormous pressure on its purchasing power, necessitating a significant rise in interest rates to offset the price inflation effect. If this is allowed to happen, it will threaten to bankrupt big business in America and even government itself. So what does America do? These are the deep state's likely options. Number one, accept reality and revise foreign strategy accordingly. Given the high level of groupthink and the remnants of Cold War philosophy, it is difficult to envisage this being taken as an early option, if at all. Number two, prevent the Chinese from selling treasuries by refusing bond transfers and or banning U.S. banks from allowing currency transfers. The intention would be to hinder China's plans to provide finance to commodity suppliers by transferring dollars and treasury bonds to them or simply selling down their holdings. The danger is this course of action will eliminate The dollar's role as the world's reserve currency for all foreign holders. The subsequent dollar crisis would likely escalate out of control. Number 3, introduced exchange controls restricting the return of offshore dollars in the belief that domestic purchasing power would be preserved. That would simply accelerate a collapse of the purchasing power of external dollars, increase the attractions of the yuan and gold as settlement currencies, and create shortages of imported raw materials for the U.S. economy. The ghost of Smoot-Hawley would rattle its chains again. Number 4, create more false flag operations, severe enough to encourage foreign speculators to maintain their dollar reserves. The deep state is unlikely to accept that it's checkmate to China and Russia. Increasing desperation and the deep state's groupthink place a high probability on the 4th option, another false flag operation or a variant thereof. The world is at a critical juncture already with Syria, where the superpowers are at war through their proxies. Let's just hope the fears expressed in this article over the senselessness of America's future actions are overstated. Again, this came to us from zerohedge.com. Folks, obviously we've got some serious times ahead of us, so please go to the AmericanFamilySurvivalStore.com for all your family's emergency and survival needs. And remember, protect and safeguard your family. Fear not, and God bless. Thank you.